Let's cut some dados. First things first, gotta square up the wood. Now with the pieces squared up, we're going to mark where we want these to overlap. And essentially we're making a cross right here. So we'll mark in these sections here roughly on that piece, and then sections here on this piece. Let me show you. That's our center. So we want one edge there, we want one edge there. We are going to remove the top portion of this 2x4. So what we'll do, get squared up, about 2.5/16, somewhere right there. Now that we know approximately where halfway is, we're going to extend each of these lines up here down. Now we know we're going to remove all of that material. So we would want this face side down like that. So let's line up the blade. Now here's where you need to pay attention to the blade. What I'm using is a flat top blade. So that means every single one of the teeth on this blade has a square flat top. If you're using the blade that came with your table saw, there's probably a good chance it's an ATB blade. Every other tooth is angled. Now you can still cut the dado with that blade, however it's going to leave a kind of V groove shape. So if you plan on cutting a lot of dados, or you want a perfectly flat surface where the dado is cut, you need to go get a flat tooth blade. And I'll link the one that I'm using in the description below. Here's what we're going to do to make sure this fits perfectly. Taking one of these smaller pieces of wood that I can fit into this crosscut sled, and I've marked halfway through here. You can see that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lower this down to where it is just a hair below that blade. We're going to spin that blade by hand. Saw is unplugged. Spin that blade by hand and make sure that none of the teeth are going over that mark. We're going to go ahead and just make a test cut. Now, have our ruler locked into where it was, and we're just going to take a look and see where that lines up. So we can see that is pretty spot on with that mark. That is flush, if you're able to see that from the camera. I'll go to the other end, and it is just a hair. The ruler is just a hair over, so I'm gonna nudge that blade up just a little bit. That's it. And you may have not even been able to see the blade move. Let's go ahead and make another cut. Okay, let's see what that looks like. You may not even be able to see that it took just a little bit more. So, take the ruler again. Yeah, that's about as close as we're gonna get. That's spot on. And same thing from that side. So we're centered up on this, we're centered up on the depth of cut here. Now we're gonna take the main workpiece and that entire area that I shaded in here with some X's, we're gonna start on this side, make the cut right on the line, and then head on over to the other side, and just a little bit inside that pencil mark, I'm gonna make another cut. And then remove everything else that's inside of this. The purpose of not cutting right on this line is to allow us to creep up on this edge for the width of the other piece of wood, so we can get a nice snug fit on the joint. Okay, I'll clean up that edge there where I didn't follow through all the way on the cut. We'll take our other piece, we'll just use the piece that we were testing on, just to kind of get an idea of the width. And obviously it should not fit we can kind of get a rough idea of how much more there is to take off. Okay, took off just a little bit more, and wow, we actually got that. That is like that's a perfect fit right there. Now, to make the rest of it, you'd go through and then just make the other cut on this side, and both of these would intersect. There it is. Look at that. There we go. Nice snug fit. Nice clean looking cross. And that is how you cut a dado.